From Tiger Woods' jaw-dropping $39 million estate to Patrick Mahomes popping the question with a Super Bowl championship ring, these stories are nothing short of awe-inspiring. Get ready to discover the surprising and captivating tales of 25 black athletes who married their white wives.
But when you're going to colleges where the pretty, attractive white girls are giving you choosing signals, now I know that there have been some people out there that say that, black men can only get the ugly white girls. I've seen it with my own two eyes. That's not true. Every black dude I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of it, but when I've seen black dudes with white girls, they're primarily thick or they're in shape. They're not fat, ugly white girls. That's a stereotype that people run with to make black women feel better.
Like, why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy, quote unquote?
I got some theories, but I really want to hear it from him.
I do too. I want to hear it too.
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
Listen, I'm scared. Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
I
had an interview with them.
Don't mind being held accountable.
I'm so scared of this, y'all, because I had an interview with Columbus Short, and I asked him this similar question, and he said something, and I got dragged for filth. I was on Breakfast Club, I was on Share. I had death threats for so long from black women, because they said I laughed when he said that. So let me not laugh. I don't have nothing to do with this.
I mean, that's what black. I think.
I'm black. Know. He don't know though, because he dates black women, period. So do not come for him.
They appreciate maybe more.
I know that ain't who I think it is. The man at this big age who's still tweeting like this, who didn't even know he was on IG Live and was doing all this, said this. Now I understand why your wife wasn't white, by the way, ran off on the plug. Most of these athletes turned podcast hosts show us every day after they retire, they need to be mimes. Because most of the time their thoughts are polluting the earth.
So this is clearly a topic that's got black women up in arms. They don't appreciate that Paul Pierce said that.
Yes, sir. You just found it. Intercourse with you. Let's chat.
Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are reacting to the Paul Pierce comments on why NBA players like white women. This is a very controversial topic, and of course I couldn't tackle it alone. So I had to invite a few people, friends, on the panel to discuss the conversation. Now, I'm looking to get both a male and female perspective, and our panel may be diversified or it may just represent one side. We've extended the invitation to a number of people, both male and female, to weigh in on the conversation. So with that said, let's jump right into it. I'm first going to play the clip along with some reactions to the clip, and then our panel will weigh in on the discussion. Okay, let's jump right in.
And then last thing before we wrap. So Paul Pierce explains why he thinks NBA players date white women. He said, honestly, I think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more. They don't mind being held accountable. Ari's thoughts on this quote from Paul Pierce.
Let's go, Mo. Let's go. Let's go, Mo.
I got a black woman. We've been together for 20 years, man. You know, he just chose the wrong black woman. I got a lot of comments on it, but, you know, maybe Paul just chose the wrong black woman, or maybe his approach with women is a little bit different. You know, I don't know how he handled women or how he let women handle him. But I don't know.
You can't talk, bro. Just say you can't talk.
I heard Bezo laugh in the back, so Bezo laughed.
Nigga don't want to get in trouble tomorrow night. This is shit Paul Pierce talking about.
If nobody understands me, Bezo understands me.
Yeah, I'm in the Airbnb right now. While they fix up some things in our new house, right? And my wife is right here on this spot. I wish I could turn the camera. But let me just show you how to please handle it, you know?
Now, both of these men are married to black women.
I'll be talking again.
They both married to black women. They're afraid to tell their opinion. It's crazy.
Yo. Nah. Let me stop. I think Go ahead, Killer.
Hey, Cam.
So basically,
talking behind our back.
So basically, what's going on is, and Mace's wife is my sister, and Mo's wife is my sister, because I love my brother's wives, everything. But this is what Paul Pierce was talking about. Look at them niggas. Look. This is what.
All right. Check this out.
No, don't be tough for me, Murder. Murder, keep it. Don't be tough for me. Don't do it for me. You better calm the fuck down and don't be tough for me, Murder.
Check it out. Listen. Mo is in Ohio. In California is 60%. So you gotta understand the metrics, right? Killer know what I'm talking about. It's 60% in California. So.
I thought you was in Atlanta. I thought you was in Georgia.
I told you I'm in an Airbnb moving to a new house, waiting to move into a new house.
Oh, so you in the state of California though?
Yeah. Okay. So the percentage is different. But let me just share with you. I don't know if that's true, because I think when it comes to women, I think women kind of act the way a man allows them to act, if I could say that. Yeah, that's exactly what I believe. I believe there's some women that'll act the way you need them to act. If you get them, it's the terms that you get them on, right? So if you meet this young lady and you've been dealing with her based upon your dollar amount in your pocket, if you leave with your pocket, then you really don't have no power. Like, everything with you is based off the money you spend in the bag you buy, the car you buy. But if it's based on like my style of dating or anything like that, it's based off the guy that you are. And when that's the case, she should be reliable. She should be what's the other word you said, Stat? She would be accountable. And what else? All of that. She comes with being accountable, and she comes with being responsible, and she comes with being respectable, because she respect you. Now, when she only respect you because you got money, or she only respect what you do, then this is why she's acting that way with you. You know what I'm saying? Some guys get the best out of a woman, and they don't have money. I happen to be one of them, you know? Well, even with us standing there, she knows the truth. If I didn't have a dime, I met her when I didn't have money. I met her when I gave away all the money I had, and she still was willing to follow what I said. Did she trust me?
I think that 100%. Me, and that's what it takes from both you guys. You gotta realize, when you deal with white women, sometimes they feel like, My people did you wrong. Yeah, bitch. I'll make a sandwich. Fuck is you talking about? Watch me go dunk this basketball and I come home, suck my dick and rub my feet. Because your ancestors wowed out on my ancestors. Now we in power. And they be like, I am the devil. We did do you wrong. Yep, you're right. So that's what I get where Paul Pierce coming from. Look, see, you guys found great women. So, you know, certain people envy that. So you guys are in great situations. When you got other people, when you work hard for money, or you're a celebrity or you're an athlete and you're in a certain position and they come with nothing to the table and then try to tell you what to do. Nah. And I'm not saying, race, I'm not even using race with this, but like sometimes you got to get me, or I got to do this a lot. I always have to do a history check sometime when I'm with females because they try to be like, yo, why you wasn't picking your phone up? Where you was at? And I'm like, you ain't making no money. you ain't no 6-digit bitch. You know, you getting by. You can't question me, yo. Now, if you was bringing something to the table, you know, I actually pay your man in there. You know what I'm saying? A little phone bill, little kids need something here and there. Don't question me, man. You're not allowed to be questioning me. So I'm not, this has nothing to do with race. I'm just saying me, Cameron, personally. You gotta bring something to the table for me because I got a lot at the table. Now, if you're helping me out in other ways, I don't really need you to make money. If you're helping me out and we grow a business together and so on and so forth, then that's great. But I haven't met anybody that I love more than my money yet. I just haven't done it, man. And I'm looking for it out there. So congrats to you guys. But if I need be, me and my uncle, like I said, we got the plan. If I ain't meet nobody by the time I'm 65, 70, I'm just gonna mail order bride. Basically clean up my crib, do what I tell you to do, leave you a couple dollars if I get up out of here. But I'm not settling. That's what I'm not gonna do. Not just settling for anything. I can't do it. Can't be like, oh, you know what? I'm about to be 50, 60. Why don't I just settle down with you? For what? Nah, I'm not doing that, man. And I tried to keep it real with you know, the people I was with younger, but that was the problem. I tried to be like, okay, I'm starting to get a couple dollars. I'm a celebrity. Okay, this, that, and the third. And they start telling me how to run my life. I'm like, your life ain't going that well. My shit doing a little better. You don't stop telling me how to do. I'm not over there at your job telling you, yo, you not putting the staples in the stapler correct. Nah, don't tell me what to do. I just can't. I haven't met that person yet. And congratulations to you guys because I'm looking for a future voice. Sorry.
Yeah,
maybe that's what Paul Pierce meant.
Yeah,
he put a race to it.
That.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say that Paul Pierce, for what he's saying, I can see what he's saying is correct for him because with most NBA players, it seems like the women that they're with, what he's saying is people that are married until they no longer playing, they retire, and then the woman divorce them and take all the money. And he's not seeing that happen with Caucasian women. He's seeing that happen a lot with Black women, and I think that's what really he's taking that take from my vantage point. That's why I say I do understand what he's saying because after doing research, I was like, wow, that's interesting. A lot of athletes get divorced after they retire. So it's like after she get all of the bread, she move on. Is that true, Mo?
Well, yeah, in most cases, a lot of guys, once they get done playing, you know, the girls are usually there for the entertainment. And when the entertainment and the thrill is gone, you know, she move on. But, you know, I'll say this, right, because it gave me a chance to think when you and Cam was talking, or when you and Cam was talking. But with Black women, you know, when you start getting paper, your whole life become customized, right? So you ain't got to put up with shit that you don't want to. How you live, where you go, what you eat, who you around, the security you have, the planes you jump on, like your whole life becomes first class. So niggas don't be tolerating shit. And most times with the Black women, like you go, it's just gonna take a little bit something different out of you. And if you don't really have, I don't want to call it game, or if you just don't have those interpersonal skills, it's gonna annoy you. Be like, man, get the fuck out of here, right? And so that's what I think he's saying, where I'm so rich I can just choose what I want to, where he may say, hey, white girl is going to let me do what I want to, so I'm going to keep her around. And I'm just searching for pleasure. And it just all depends on where people are in their life and what they want and what they accept. And so just a black woman, and I don't think he was said it to be funny. He just says something that black dudes be feeling and be talking about. Just sometimes black women give you hell, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes it'd be fun when she give you hell. Sometimes it annoys you, you know what I mean? But it's just going to take a different level of, you know, just a different level of individual to deal with a black woman.
I think what Paul Pierce was saying, to me, he just used white women. I don't think it's race related. I think that if you're going to tolerate certain shit, you're going to tolerate certain shit. If you could get away with certain shit with people, females, or vice versa, females with males, you're going to get away with it. Obviously, he has situations, to me, if he's using this, that he get away with doing what he want to do with white women as opposed to not getting away with doing shit with black women. To me, it's not really race related. It's about what you want to do in life and what the female you dealing with is willing to put up with and what you're willing to compromise because of how much you love for the female, because you love her. Let's say, for instance, you're a dude that likes going to a strip club 2-3 nights a week, but you found the girl that you love and she doesn't appreciate it. Do you compromise that? Can I go one night, honey? No nights. Now, come on now. I can't go cold turkey. Can we slow groove this? It's about what they're willing to deal with when you with a female. I don't think it's race related, my person.
Cam a wild boy.
Cam is wild.
Cam a wild boy.
Exactly.
I have a quick take, and I'm gonna just make it short. I really just think it's based upon environment, because a lot of the like top athletes go to, you know, like certain schools like a Duke or like UCLA or something like that. I just think that going to, like, for example, I went to a PWI, there was only like 8% black people, and most of the black people played on sports, so the pool was real small. I feel like if they're dating or have a girlfriend or whatever in college, she's most likely going to be white, and that's who's going to follow him when he transitions to the league. That's just kind of what I've seen. And also, like, a difference is, like, for me, like, I went to college for education. Some people go to college to find love. So if that's your agenda and you're looking for a boo and he happens to be playing a sport and then he goes to the league, that's kind of what happens. So that's what I've seen a lot of. I'm not going to put it on a race thing, because I also see a lot of NBA players also with black women or Hispanic, like whatever it may be that they like. But also, to Cam's point, you're going to go for who's down for what you are down for. So if you want to do a certain thing and she don't like that, you're going to find the girl that likes that. And that's just that. That's what I think. So I don't know. Interesting quote, interesting takes. That's what I think. That's what I got from it. And yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that there's accountable black women, and there's what else he said? They're not accountable and
apologetic, appreciative.
Now I would say that I don't know many black apologetic women. I don't know many that are quick to apologize. I happen to have one, but I don't know many that are like that. Hey, man, have you ever met a black woman that just told you, hey, I apologize for how I cursed you out? And we're being real. Like, nobody should be offended by this. We're only saying what we came across.
The whole thing about I have females that I dealt with.
Apologetic.
I have female. It's about, see, that's what I'm saying. It's about the personality. I have females that won't ever apologize, and I have females that don't even want the problems. They'll be like, let me just suck your dick so we not fighting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're submissive, you know what I'm saying? For real, because listen, I'm being honest with you, because I had a girl.
Do you know a lot of them? Do you know a lot?
No. I don't know a lot of them, but I'm just saying it depends on what you're dealing with. Because me, if I'm mad at a female, I'll leave and I won't speak to her. I'm Aquarius. Like, my grudge go 1, 2. You're not gonna get me mad and we gonna have mad sex. Like, yeah, I'm mad. Let's fuck. No, I'm not speaking. I don't do the mad sex. And I ignore people. And I remember I was dealing with this girl. She said, "Yo, why don't you?" She said, "Oh, that ignoring me for 3 weeks. Just kick my ass and get it over with." I said, "I'm not kicking your ass. I'm not kicking a female's ass. What are you talking about? I'd rather do that than you ignore me." But this is the shit that I hear. Like, I'm not supporting that, and I didn't do it. I'm just saying the shit that I hear. But I don't really think, the reason why I say it's not race related, and it's not a lot, but this, like I said, this is my last thing on it. It's like when niggas be like, yo, you acting like that because you're Sagittarius. All Sagittariuses do this and then. Oh yeah, an Aquarius, so you doing this like this. Oh yo, you from Harlem, so all y'all Harlem niggas do this. Oh, that's because you from Brooklyn. Oh, you from 7th Avenue. Oh, you from Lexington Avenue. Niggas will always find a way for the reason why you act the way you act and blame it on astrology, blame it on the way that you grew up, blame it on the part of the country you from, blame it on your last name, blame it on anything. I tell them, and this is my last statement, but I tell people about people all the time, is this. When you in jail or somebody's in jail, it's a nigga birthday every day in jail. So it isn't like it's just the Capricorns or the killers, or the cancers or just the murderers or credit scammers, yeah, or the fucking Taurus or the stick-up kids. It's a nigga birthday in jail every day. It's niggas who do all type of shit every motherfucking walk of the earth. So you can't categorize one thing and be like, yo, the white girls is just, it's just about your environment, how you grew up, a bunch of different shit goes into how it goes, my personal opinion.
Okay, so that was the Paul Pierce comments as it was being reviewed by the It Is What It Is crew. Now we are going to turn over to our panel to have this discussion. Now to do that, what I want to do is I want to actually bring some of the questions to the table because there's a couple of points that I think we can actually discuss as we speak. So let's go ahead and
we should play that Paul Pierce clip.
Yeah, I can try to pull up the actual Paul Pierce clip as well. But the first question I'm going to ask the panel, and I want you guys to let me know what your thoughts on this. Is Paul Pierce crazy for saying NBA players prefer white women over black women? Is there truth to that? That for some reason, the perception of NBA players is that white women are easier to deal with than black women? And if that is a statement that he made, is there truth to that based on the experiences that you may have personally had with black women as opposed to white women? So, Rennie, go ahead and jump in. Let me share your thoughts while I pull up the Paul Pierce clip.
The question is, do I think he's fair in his assessment? Mm-hmm. I think that he is, because it's a fact. It's not all black women, but you're more likely to get pushback from a black woman than you are from any other woman across any other culture, just naturally. Because remember what I was saying in another pod we did together about us as a people, where we are damaged, and when you are damaged, you are more prone to be protective of yourself and wanting to take control, because if you're not in control, then you're out of control. That's how we see it, right? So it's only natural for a black woman to be just as assertive and just as domineering and wanting to be in control of her pathways as a black man would be, because we're like that too, where we want to, not many of us can take direction like that, especially if it's coming from a space where we don't think that we can rely on it, right? So, and I don't want to get out of context here, but black women are more likely to be in that headspace of, I don't give a shit how much money you have. I don't give a shit what your position is. I don't give a shit how much power you have. You're going to listen to me because that's what I want. They're going to be more willing to stand on something with you and fight with you about it than a white woman would, who, or I would say any other woman, but more a white woman, because white women are, I guess, more strategical and they see the bigger picture more than the black woman. Black woman will lose sight of the bigger picture because she's more tethered to her emotions and tethered to her right to say something or to have an opinion, right? As a white woman, as white women, they don't necessarily do that. They'll shut the fuck up, because in their mind, they're like, I don't want to mess this bag up. I'm going to chill out and I'm going to just listen and I'm going to take it how it comes, because I'm getting a lot out of it. I'm not paying much. I'm just paying in the sense of not having my opinion all the damn time, right? Black women will give you a headache about the littlest thing, like the smallest thing. It'll just be like, what are you looking at her for, or silly things like that. White women are more willing to do a lot of different things. They're more willing to have a man have his women on the side, or they're willing to have a man traveling for a long amount of time and will stay committed to him and not do anything crazy, and he'll come back home and they won't give him a hard time. They won't like make it, an overly emotional experience for him. They're more willing to just eat it and just not compromise the bigger picture for them, which is the lifestyle, the money, and the position in life. Black women just aren't like that. They're just going to be like, you're gone too long. You're not listening to me. Hell no, you're not going to be out here on the streets. I don't like that. I need this now. And they're just going to give you attitude, right? They're more willing to just scrap with you a little bit. And where he's coming from is he's saying, as a rich black man who's a celebrity, the last thing I need is a woman who doesn't respect the fact that I have a lot of power and that I can get it anywhere I want. The last thing I need is a woman who's going to challenge me to try and get it somewhere else because she thinks that she can just run the show anytime she wants. I can get any woman anytime. I don't need a woman who's going to be all up in my face, giving me attitude all the time. I'd rather a woman who just is willing to say, that's not my position. I'm not going to give him a hard time because he might leave. At least a white woman knows he might leave if I give him too much of a headache. And it's not to say all white women are like that. It's just white women tend to be more like that, more submissive. Black women aren't as submissive as white women. And I agree with him when he's saying that, because I think that's what he's trying to say is, I don't need a woman who's unwilling to be submissive and tries to be the leader all the time when I am the one who's the breadwinner and I'm the one who, is out here, maintaining and campaigning. I need a woman who's going to play her position, and if it's about her getting to the bag or whatever, at least make me feel like I'm in power.
Okay. Well, listen, I just found the Paul Pierce clip. I think it's a short outlining exactly what he said. So let me go ahead and switch to that view. And we can get more context on this.
Maybe they appreciate maybe more. And
I know that ain't who I think it is. The man at this big age who's still tweeting like this, who didn't even know he was on IG Live and was doing all this, said this. Now I understand why your wife, who wasn't white, by the way, ran off on the plug. Most of these athletes turned podcast hosts show us every day after they retire they need to be mimes. Because most of the time their thoughts are polluting the earth.
That maybe they appreciate maybe more. And
I know that ain't who I think it is. The man at this big age.
Okay, so this is clearly a topic that's got black women up in arms. They don't appreciate that Paul Pierce said that. I couldn't even get the full statement of what he said. This seems to be a reaction video to it. This has been going viral. We obviously on the panel have a lot of guys talking about it. I'm trying to see if I can find his exact statement. It seems like it's everybody's reaction to it and not so much his statement. Let's see if this clip is actually it.
Why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy, quote unquote?
I got some theories, but I really want to hear it from him.
I do too. I want to hear it too.
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
Listen, I'm scared. Hold on. Let's hold on.
Yes, I mean, you know,
I had an interview with
they don't mind being held accountable.
I'm so scared of this, y'all, because I had an interview with Columbus Short, and I asked him this similar question, and he said something, and I got dragged for filth. I was on Breakfast Club, I was on Sherry Rose. I had death threats for so long from Black women because they said I laughed when he said that. So let me not laugh. I don't have nothing to do with this.
I mean, that's what
Black.
I think.
I'm Black.
Know.
He don't know though, because he dates Black women. Period. So do not come for him.
Okay, so that was the actual clip of what he actually said, which brings up the two topics of discussion. One, was he wrong for saying that? I mean, he's representing the sentiment of a lot of professional basketball players, obviously from his first vantage point. And two, does he make a valid point when he talks about whether or not Black women are more combative and maybe less willing to apologize and take accountability when comparing dating a white woman as opposed to a Black woman? Now, this is a question I'm going to ask you guys. Tell me about that, Renick. Do you believe that white women are more easy to get along with? I mean, I know you've dated both than Black women are, or do you feel it to be the opposite?
I feel it to be exactly what he said. They're more prone to apologize. They're more prone to meet in the middle, to work in the best interest of themselves by stroking the ego of the man. White women are just more prone to doing that, just across the board. Black women are just not. Like they are taught to be, super strong and powerful because they are starting from behind, and they do have to deal with men, and they do have it worse than white women. So they're just naturally going to be more fighters than a white woman. They're just going to be that way. It's just, there's nothing you can do about it. And by the way, it's not, there's nothing wrong with the way they go about things. It's just, it doesn't fit for the complex of a Black man, because remove the Black part, it's a man, right? We're talking about men in general. Men don't want women who are always going to have something to say. Like, we having something to say is great, but we don't want you to always have something to say. We want you to sometimes say, you know what? I understand. I'm sorry. How about we move on? How can we move on? That's what we want to hear sometimes. We want to feel like we are in leadership, like we are the lion of the den. Like if you can't just submit to that, it's gonna be a long relationship, and it's likely gonna end. So that's the issue that we're dealing with, and that's what he's trying to say, is basically like, listen, they're more willing to apologize. They're more willing to say, I was wrong, I'm sorry. And even if they don't feel they're wrong, they apologize anyway, because they're trying to move on. They're trying to get on out of this negative space. They just want you to feel like you're the man. I'm not trying to be the man. I know my place. Let me do my thing. Because at the end of the day, white women want to make sure that you understand that you got to step out of their way too when it comes to things around the house, making certain decisions, being the woman in the relationship. Want you to not mess with them when it comes to that. Trust me. All right. A Black woman will let a Black man get in the way sometimes when it comes to like those type of things, like doing certain things around the house. And like sometimes we can come in and be like, yo, I don't like that. I'm decorating it. Like, I don't like that decorative. A Black woman will be like, all right, well, what should we do? She'll try to, that's the other side of it, right? But the white woman will never do that. She'll be like, no, this is my space. I'm doing this. Leave me alone. Because she's made concessions on the other end for the man, for you as the man, right? That's how it works. It's a real different dynamic, and not everyone understands it, but we do. And as Black men, we understand what's going on here with this. And that's what he's trying to say. It's just that, hey, listen, at the end of the day, I can deal with a white woman more because she's willing to concede. She's willing to bend the knee, like in moments of strife or disagreement, you know, and my life is just a little easier. And by the way, he did say as well that a man has no peace living with a woman. So it's not like he's saying, you know, white women are perfect. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, if I'm going to be with a woman, I'm going to have more peace being with a white woman, because a black woman is going to be more willing to just challenge me more when it comes to like having an opinion on things, and willing to get into an argument with me, willing to fight with me.
Okay, let's go ahead. Isaiah, go ahead and weigh in. I know you have some thoughts on that. Do you believe Paul Pierce is crazy for saying NBA players prefer white women? And if so, why or why not? Also, based on your experience, do you think there's a valid point being made here? Go ahead and weigh in.
The nigga tripping. You see the hoodie, I'm on bullshit tonight. So first and foremost, right? He's speaking from his perspective in terms of his experience. Now, I'm going to put full context out here. I've never been with a white woman, not necessarily my cup of tea, but to each their own. I think there are some elements of truth of what Paul Pierce did say, but we are missing context in terms of this dynamic, right? White women, especially going after high-profile athletes and things of that nature, typically got the hustle right. They targeted them when they were young. From high school, from junior high school, lock in and put in that investment with time to build them up. So when they was ready to go take everything they needed to take, they actually secured it. Black women, on the other hand, waiting at the finish line for the finished product, right? Where all of those years that they had to wait, instead of investing inside of a man, they're now angry and they're now bitter because they have to now take on the responsibilities of life on their own, aka the independent woman that we seeing today. Right? So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get, you know, our black women being a little bit more combative in our relationships because of the mindset that's in them right now. Not to say that the mindset can't change, but at the same token, white women kind of mastered the game. Like, yo, if you're gonna lock something in and you're gonna be on some bullshit, then do it young. Yeah, fake the investment, fake the I love you, be amenable, be pleasing, apologize, all that. That's the Lola brothers in to go ahead and, you know, when they hit them with the Baby Seal Club and take half their shit, they ain't even see what's coming, right? So again, Paul Pierce is just speaking about his experience. I respect it. I don't necessarily agree with it in full because I haven't realistically embarked inside of that endeavor in my life. At the same token, context being added in, it's just like, bro, you was targeted since you was like 16, 17 years old real quick. They made it easy for you to go ahead and get that hook, line, and sinker, right? So are we now saying that, yeah, the combativeness, we can't go ahead and to fight against? Or you just like, yo, I don't want to go ahead and do that? All right, cool. If you don't want to go ahead and do that, you now got a whole other set of problems where, yo, you getting trapped, having multiple kids, and then getting divorced 4 or 5 times to go ahead and take half your stuff. So it's to me, at the end of the day, why are we even talking about this shit? We got other problems inside of our community that we realistically need to be worried about, especially, you know what I'm saying, as black people. I don't really care what's going on the other side of the aisle. If you like the snow bunnies, have fun, bro. There's more enough for them for you. You want half your stuff taken? Cool. Now, that's not to say I ain't getting half my stuff taken on this side either. But I do think the shared experiences of what we go through in life as a people make it more amenable to stay in a relationship with a black woman, to fight through those obstacles, those mindsets, those barriers, to try to build, create legacy, generational wealth, and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Well, Isaiah, really quick. You mentioned the independent woman, right? You mentioned a big piece of topic that actually Dr. Umar brought up, which was the black woman will wait to see a finished product as opposed to investing in the product that still needs to be nourished and nurtured.
Great point.
Right?
Great point.
So what I'm saying to you is that just like at the end of your statement, you said we got a lot more things to be worried about as a community. One of the big things we have to worry about is how we help our black women to grow as as a people and as a human, right? To say you don't always have to be so dominant. You don't have to be so aggressive and assertive in your own community. You can take that power, you can take that strength, and you can use it for the community outside of your own. Because as Black men, what are we taught? We're taught to respect a woman, to treat your Black queen with the utmost respect and to nurture her and to build her, right? That's what we're taught. We aren't taught to be aggressive and assertive towards our own community. We're taught if you're going to go into the workforce, you got to be better against the white man. You got to work harder. You got to strive to do better. You got to finish first. All these things is against a community outside of our own. So when we have our anger or our aggressive progression, it's never towards people in our own community. It's always to people outside of our community. So guess what? We then treat our women a little different. We don't have that aggressiveness towards them, right? On the other side of the table, the Black woman is told everybody is against you necessarily. The man overall, and then everybody else outside of your community and in your community, you need to be on the aggression for when it comes to taking advantage of your opportunities and getting somewhere. So what we're dealing with is not actually allowing the women in our community to feel protected, one, and to feel like they can trust in us that we are not against them. So therefore, they should invest in us from the start and not wait for us to figure it out. You got to invest in that Black man. If you're not willing to invest in that Black man, you can't hold that man's foot to the fire when it comes down to the fact that he's now established and you weren't there, but now he went and he found something that was always hanging around, waiting for him to get, being there for him, pumping him up, telling him he's great, listening to him when he has a dispute, not fighting with him, knowing where her bread is buttered and not speaking out of tune, and being just a submissive partner. So when you got a woman who's willing to do that, at the end of the day, her race doesn't matter at the end of the day, because your happiness is what takes over. And you go, you know what? She's allowing me to be a man. She's allowing me to have my ego. She's allowing me to feel like I can go into the field and I can be powerful, because when I go home, I have a woman who is laying at my feet, making sure that I feel like a man, like I feel like I am in charge, like a king. I don't have to worry about the fact that she's white or Indian or Asian or Hispanic, none of that, right? That's what we're dealing with, is making sure our women treat us the way they should. That's proper, which means get in there immediately, get your man, keep him in the community, keep him tethered to you by being with him when he ain't got nothing, so that when he has something, he's not looking further than you, and it's right in his own community. You see what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
You said some bullshit. You said some bullshit right now, and I'm about to chime in on that. First off, I don't need no woman to go ahead and make me feel more of a man. That's just a compliment. I should be able to go ahead and walk this earth knowing my God-given right. You know what I'm saying? Being born a man first and foremost. Now, is it a great complimentary piece? Yeah. Now, I do agree with your statement where you was like, yo, at the end of the day, you know, as long as you're with somebody that is actually feeding that need that we have as men, then it shouldn't really matter about the race, creed, nationality of who that woman is, right? And I think we've, as men, have settled into the idea that we need a woman to reinforce or validate our manhood. And I think that's where we need to start, you know what I'm saying, doing the reflection and the internal work on ourselves first, not only as Black men, but just men as general, because we've pedestalized women to the point to where, and as if I don't have a woman at the end of the day, my value or my worth as a man is dog shit. And I want to challenge that notion across the board. right?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want you to misconstrue what I was trying to say. I'm not saying that a woman should be I'm not saying we should be thinking, oh, I need a woman in order to feel like a man. That's not what I'm saying at all. Any man who's an alpha male will never say that. I could be by myself. I don't need a woman at the end of the day to validate me for nothing. I'm going to be exactly what I'm supposed to be, whether you're with me or you're not. But in the midst of me going to the spaces I'm going to go, that's valued and successful, you goddamn right I want a woman who's going to be by my side and empowers me. I want that. I want a woman like that. So it's not about me feeling like I need a woman. No, that's not what this is about. This is merely me saying that as men, we love women. As men, we want a woman who's tethered to us and who is committed to us. But if you ask me, I'm not gonna, if I have a choice of a woman who's gonna backtalk and be disruptive and say all kind of weird stuff to me, or am I gonna choose a woman who is submissive and willing to be there to pump me up, to stroke my ego, to be there to tell me she loves me and that she cares about what I do for her and she's thankful for it, to tell me that what I give to her makes her feel whole, gives her purpose to be around me, all that stuff, pumping me up, man, that's invaluable. I want that. It's not that I need that. It's not that I need that. It's that it's invaluable and it's something that I'm going to say I want at the end of the day.
You want to win?
It's going to make me more powerful by having it than not to have it at the end of the day.
I want to chime in, right? Solomon had many wives because they was making him feel like he was what? Or was he just the guy? I look at a lot of things. He was that man. He was a man. He was validating himself. Himself was validated. And as people seen what he can offer and how he could move mountains for certain individuals, that's how he became popular in the wife factor, because of his manly, how strong he believed in himself. We got to remember that as kings, if we don't believe in us, then who gonna believe in us? We got to make people believe in us. You feel me? With that being said, yeah, it feels good to have women rubbing you and doing this and doing that. But as men, we got to lead them to the right place. We got to lead them to a promised land as well for them to keep stroking our ego. Because if we doing a bunch of bullshit, then you're going to have girls sitting here on your back like, oh, we think what we could be doing is top tier. But that shit is low tier compared to what we could be doing. And if we find a female that'll say, that shit you doing, you could do this, and she not stroking your ego because you probably low tier when you should be top tier. When the truth is coming out, we don't even respect our black women or women enough to even sit down because our man ego, not saying us per se, but the statistical man ego is ready to run rampant with, oh no, I'm right, I'm man, I'm creator of all. Nah, people have great ideas. And as men, kings, we don't know it all, but ideas come from people in the camp, people in the army. A king is the one that's just supposed to capitalize off of it. I'm the one that's supposed to take my brain, my power, my wit, and capitalize off of greater things as well, which makes me king. You feel what I'm saying?
Thanks.
So it feels good, yes, to have women doing that, but first, as a validation, you got to look in that mirror and wake up and say, I am king. If you're not king and you waiting for somebody to help praise the king to make you feel like a king, then you're not really a king.
Right, but that's what I was just addressing, right? Which is take that out of it, right? Because the issue isn't whether or not we feel like kings, and this is not about us not or us needing someone to validate what we're doing out here, or not being leaders to bring people into our tribe. That's not what this is about. What he's saying is, if I'm the leader of my tribe and I'm doing everything I got to do and I don't need nobody else, right? And I have someone who comes into my, let me just put it like this. I start a tribe. I got a tribe of people. None of them, I haven't found a wife yet. but my tribe follows me everywhere. My tribe is my kingdom. I've built my village, and it's very, very plentiful. My pastures are endless. I am a true king. I get 3 women coming into my camp, begging and asking to be a part of my tribe.
Right.
Trying to absorb my vibe. I let them all in. However, there are 2 women out of those 3 who are not reinvesting in my pastures. They're not out there gardening, making sure the soil is moist enough. They're not there making sure that paths are paved through so that people can walk aside of vegetation. They're not there to reinforce the glory in which my tribe, reigns upon the people. They're not there to do that for me. But out of the 3, there's 1 woman who's doing all of that. And at the same time, she lays by my bedside and whispers in my ear great little things that matter to me, that make me feel like she understands and she's paying attention.
I want to weigh in on this, Dash, just to give you context. We just watched the It Is What It Is podcast reacting to Paul Pierce's comment about whether or not NBA players tend to prefer white women over black women due to the fact that they are more manageable, according to what Paul Pierce said. He's saying that for a lot of black women, they're less apologetic and they're more combative. And so you have a lot of men, especially in that position of wealth, where they don't have to subject themselves to the disrespect that a lot of them feel like they getting at the hands of black women. They're saying that a lot of men, as the reality of today, tend to choose the path of least resistance. If they had the choice of choosing between a black woman who may berate them, call them out their name, be combative with them, and a white woman who is willing to be more malleable and do what they say, he's saying NBA players 9 out of 10 times will go for the white woman who's just going to do what they say and not try and get into no back and forth with them. So now the question is him saying that, as offensive as it may be for a lot of black women hearing that critique, is him saying that out of line? Is it inaccurate? Is there truth to what he's saying, even though that may not necessarily be your point of view? Is there a perception that black women, and it could be for valid reasons, maybe, they've had traumas and things that causes them to be harder than a white woman is. But the question becomes, when a man has a choice, when his money's right, not when he's struggling or on a come up, when his money is right and he's ready to essentially choose a mate, is he going to choose somebody that he deems is more workable, malleable, less stressful to deal with, or is he going to choose somebody that, is going to give him hell? So now that's the context of what they're talking about. Rennick's point of view is I've dated both. He's dated both. So he thinks, having dated both, he thinks that, you need a woman who's going to be willing to listen to you as a man, who's not going to emasculate you, who's not going to make you feel like less than, especially when you're in a position to provide her a lifestyle that she wouldn't have without you. Whereas other women don't necessarily give two craps about that. They just like, forget it, bruh. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how much money you got. I'm going to give you this work. I'm going to give you the attitude. I'm going to give you the talk back. I'm going to give you the pushback. I'm going to undermine you. I'm going to do all these different things. And women are complex as a whole. But he's saying, if I had the choice of having to choose between a woman who's going to be workable and give me peace and a woman who's going to give me hell, I'm going to choose the one who's going to give me peace. So now my question goes back to you with that context, and I know you just jumped into the conversation. Do you believe that is a valid point? Do you believe it's inaccurate? Do you believe that if you or others, other black men, given the feedback that you may have gotten, do you believe they would make a similar choice?
That's one of my favorite conversations. I always felt that white women did gain the population of black men because of their lack of. Yes, that may be true. And it is the sayings, and statistically, you probably would find where it may win, where white women are a little more submissive. But that comes with as a man. Now, when he says that the statistical points and the point that he make is true, but the way I beg to differ is because in any relationship, I feel like there should be a point where you learn someone. Your dudes are gonna like, and buttons not to press, pressing other buttons that are good to press. Doing all the good things, the labor side, everything. But some people have communication issues. I feel like it all just leads back to the way we communicate with each other. So that's where, yes, the white women win because, and if you look at it, I'll just take things real far with it. I go far. I'll take it all the way back to slavery. We was already groomed where we were attitudish and moody and always put in predicaments not to wake up with a good morning because when we learned the true meaning of good morning, it wasn't a good morning. It's a morning. So I'll go back to how we have to regroom, reprogram our people as a society as well, not to be so combative, but to
Exactly
combat.
what I said.
Very good point.
No, that's exactly what I said. You literally tapped into something I said initially when I was talking to Isaiah, which was that this is
Nice.
not about this is deeper than like this, this is better than that. This is about literally a culture. This is a culture. And we're still dealing with it today, right? Like racism ain't gonna help it to heal any faster. Like that's gonna continue to to hedge in this whole thing of just anger. And like as long as we're distraught about how we are perceived and treated and how we are not given opportunities fairly, it's always going to be this type of feeling, where we at the end of the day we're getting the message that we have to always be on edge, because if we're not on edge, then we're probably getting stepped over, and if we're not with our shoulders up and our chin up, we're probably being overlooked and we're probably not doing the best that we can to stay aware. And that
But wait, your culture remark was one that actually is like the lead off because their culture, the white culture still in a way, if you look at it, it's a more respectful thing, whereas the women and how they treat their husbands and
right.
you know what I'm saying? Right there. So when they cross over, because in slavery just shows you a lot of it. They love the black people. Boom. When they come over as a white to the black, because of their culture and already how they learned that is little girl, oh, watch your mouth, young man, or you watch your tone. A lot of this shit come off with them too, where that bracket, it puts a bracket on things because how their culture already leaves them to go straight into the world where when we have to regroom and reprogram us from no, they're not going to pit us and put us against each other to fight and we don't have to fight and the fight may be over in certain aspects, whereas you say the racist and prejudicial systems of things are still there. That is the anger part. That anger is like a carryover, if it makes any sense, because now here Where they come in respectful, it's tough. Not only as a black man, but as a black woman as well. Which I kind of give that a little leniency because it is tough for our black men, but it's tough for our black women. And then some of them really don't get enough credit to where, as our men as well, have to be a little bit blamed for some of it because of our needing to be regroomed and reprogrammed on a respectful. We didn't get the respectful views of. If we would wish not to do that, but still, if you see people fighting and all of the negativity with how they were treating women back then, it's got to change as men. Like, we shouldn't want to back smack a woman or put a hand on a woman. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring the real out. Like, when you see certain things, it's like kids see it, they're sponges, so they grow up, then the next generation feels like, well, I watched my daddy beat on a woman. Then you will hear a girl say, well, he loved me because my mama got beat on, and a woman is supposed to get beat on. Remember the cycle we had to break there. Well, if you're in love, you're not supposed to beat on somebody. Feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right.
So that,
Okay.
But also you have to put into play that naturally, and it's not, and I'm not saying this across the board. I'm saying that there is a higher percentage of white women that come from a family orientated structure where they're protecting their family and they're trying to keep it intact, right? And they usually do see their mother and father, right? As opposed to in our community, we have, especially the American African, is plagued with single family situations, right? Where we only have one, one dominant figure of leadership in the household. And so imagine a black woman who, didn't grow up with one side of the family root. She's probably going to be more prone to being like, I'll blow this whole shit up. I don't care. I'll blow it all up.
It's a fact.
I'll survive it. I survived it as a kid. I'm an adult now. I'm doing good in life. I survived it. So I don't give a shit. My kids will survive it. So they're willing to just blow it all up. But what happens with a white woman is, even if they're in a single family home, those parents, they work together and they make it work out and they figure it out so that those kids can see that there is a union there, even if it's separated. And so when they get with a black man, they don't care that it's a black man. At the end of the day, especially if they have kids, all they care about is that you're the dad, I'm the mom, and we got to make this shit work. Whether you like it or not, we got to make it work, and we're not going to fuck it up because these kids matter. And they will tell you that straight up. Like, no, we are not fucking this up because the kids matter, and they're less likely to do some fuck shit on you, which is like putting you in terrible situations where you can't provide. Because at the end of the day, they're selfish like that, and they want that money. They want you to be out here being productive. They're gonna wait on any child support, whatever. They'll take you off of it so you can make money, just so that they can survive, because they don't want to deal with that. But a black woman is just not going to do it because they're so okay with failure, necessarily, like having shit just fail and then trying to figure it out, which is never a good look, right? Like, but that's not because it's not their fault. It's just the system that has been plagued upon us. We're plagued with that.
Right. With that's right. That's part of our regrooming. Like, we got to restructure it, because just think about it, right? Ancestry will break us back to how we had to see this. How many times have black slaves fell in love, had a baby, the slave owner seen it, somehow, some way, when it gets discovered, the black man's off now, right? The woman's left with the baby. And what? I just want to take history and just play it for a second. You see this, you know what I'm saying?
To that point, Dash, let me make this one point. Just to add in a 2 cents.
Definitely.
As black men, do we make the problem worse by not speaking up and saying it's a problem. Right? The fact is, we can all, being black men, have had experiences with our women where they weren't willing to work with us. Just citing some statistics, 1 in 4 black women get married, 52% the divorce rate, if not more. 80% of the ones who do get married file divorce within 3 or 4 years. And 80% of the people who file for divorce are women. So we have taught our women to be so self-reliant. I don't need a man. To the left, to the left. You know, I can have another one in a minute. Right? Like, it's from one man to the next man to the next man. And then there's this epidemic of baby motherism. You know, there's never a willingness to have a man in the household because that was never modeled for them. And then the problem continues to cycle itself. You can look at the jail system. Most of them people come from single mother households. At what point do we stop making excuses for the problem, and do we address it head on by saying we need to have a sit down? This combative attitude that we got is not helping, hasn't helped for decades. So as long as we continue to look the other direction, as sensitive of a topic as this particular one is, we're prolonging the problem because we're not being honest with each other. Paul Pierce, although critical, you got to give the man an applause for saying what everybody can acknowledge, but it refused to have a conversation about because it is too much of a touchy issue and too many people getting their feelings about it.
If I feel that's us black people not understanding each other too.
Exactly. But if we look us as a community, and this is where we go wrong, we don't look at us as a community as it relates to how we compete against other races in other communities, right? Any 2-person household is going to outdo and outperform a 1-person household anytime. So if that woman wants to split up with her man, not need her man, and go work 3-4 jobs, no one's watching her kid, she may make more money, but the 2-person Asian family is going to make more money. Their kids are going to have the proper support. They're not going to be neglected. What I'm saying is, as long as we continue to make excuses for the problem, we never address it.
Excuse me.
And part of the problem is not just blaming black women, because I don't think that's fair. Right. Black men also have to step up. We also have to do our part. We also have to, you know what I'm saying, come to the table. We can't be wilding out, putting hands, and not creating an environment where you can't communicate with your lady. But at the same time, we do have to have the hard conversation. It's a societal issue because, you know, we teach our women be independent, but they also grow up in households where they've never seen a man in the household. So they're more accustomed to not having a man there that they think that's normal for them. That all the man is good for is for the baby. And if he's acting up, I don't need him because I can pay my own bills and off with him. And what I think this creates is one culture provides that it's better to have 2 people in a household, and another culture teaches that you should be independent. At some point, we do have to have the tough conversations, the tough decisions. Now, with that said, we now transition into the next phase of the conversation, which was another point that Paul Pierce raised during his interview. He said that the sentiment for a lot of these NBA players is that black women are less apologetic in their relationships and less accountable in their relationships. So if there is a dispute within the household, it's hard to ever get them to say, I'm sorry. Which brings up the next question. Are black women unapologetic in their relationships and less accountable when compared to white women? What say you?
I'll just blatantly go straight to an answer and say I'll take that us men have a big responsibility in why our women can be the way they are. I'm not saying all, but I could take a nice population and say the grooming wasn't there. They weren't able to see, you know what I'm saying, those examples of a way to treat a woman as well.
Fair point.
And then I just say this too, son, because when I think about the whole subject for real, I'm already ready to write a book on how to school our brothers, our whole system, because we gotta teach them. And I really don't even want to not say as a man, we are supposed to lead I think about it. Kingly structure, you're a man, you're supposed to lead your family to the promised land. Not the woman supposed to lead you. So basically, when you get any woman, right? If black minds could just place it like, like you said, the white people, you're the mommy, I'm the daddy, we're gonna work this shit out. Once we grasp that, right? Boom. As a man, there's certain duties that still have to be taken fully account. You got to take accountability of it. I'm not with my wife married and then beating all the statistics of being only what? I'm turning 45 in August. So I take 25 years of my life and say I've been devoted in a relationship, married, and have children, and renewed my vows just recently and got married to my wife again because I'm the man that I am. You know what I'm saying?
I love that point. That's a great point.
So
I
I
think
do
that's a
feel
great
like
point
we
you're
got it.
you're an example of a man who actually shows up for your family every day, who's there. You've been with your wife a long time. See, that's a skill that you learn by being in a relationship. And a lot of us don't stay in a relationship long enough to see the potential of the relationship. So to your credit, despite whatever obstacles you guys might have gone through in your relationship, for the duration of your relationship, you are one of the few that was successful in working it out, where you are proud to say, this is my wife. She hold me down. She gets me. I show up for her. She show up for me. That to me is the beautiful thing that I think we need to preach more to men. You know what I'm saying? It's the thing.
And how to not be an insensitive prick at times, and how to sometimes have your sensitivity level lower to understand or be compassionate towards women's feelings, hormonal changes. Try to understand those. To one, learn your woman so you can teach her how to be around these times. Look, we're adults. You catch your period, Adam and Eve had it. This is life. When you get that way, we need a safe word. We need this. So I know to be more comforting. If you teach and swerve, see, as a man, king, me of this castle has to lay down set rules, boundaries for everyone so we all can get along good, then that's what you have to, we have to do as teaching our women and families as well. You feel me? God didn't make us without that brain, not to like make it like that. You feel me? Not even being disrespectful with it. It's all tranquility on how you're supposed to speak and how you're supposed to perform these duties and carry out God's will. You feel me?
Yeah, but we have to be honest though. We have to be honest because we can't. I mean, we can have the discussion about rehabilitation and being better to women and having better conversations and searching out keywords to create a more fluid life in a couple's type of union. All that extra crap we could talk about that till the freaking wings fall off, right? But the reality is that
that's the truth.
Black women don't say sorry very often because saying sorry is losing. Saying sorry is saying I lost, right? Like I'm not in leadership here. Saying sorry is like saying, I can never assert myself, which is not what it is, but it's seen as that. So it's just a matter of just being honest and saying, look, at the end of the day, like, you have to be able to say, this is not about you wanting to
It's a good point.
hammer in the fact that you're the woman and you should be always right. Like, that's not what it's about. Like, it's about compromise and just being able to say, this makes sense. Even if I want to be right, it makes sense. And because it makes sense, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to get to a place where I can compromise so I can apologize, right? That's what most of us need, right? Even if you're apologizing to a buddy, a friend that you had a dispute with, and let's say you said some harmful things, how do you get to an apology? By actually having dialogue about everything that happened, everything that transpired. You're going to talk about it. You're going to be like, well, this made me feel this way. This made me feel this way. This what happened with this, and this is where I may have thought it was this, and there was a whole I misconstrued what was happening, and there was a big misunderstanding, right? You talk about things. You have a reasonable discussion, and then once that reasonable discussion happens, both of you have no other place but to go but to the sorry. To the like, I apologize, man. Like, I love you. It's all good. I apologize. All right, now we know how to move going forward. That's the discussion that needs to be had, right? Where it's like, how do you say to them, listen, you don't have to be right all the time, and you do not have to stray away from an apology. If it's hard for you to say sorry, then how do we come to a compromise to where that's okay for you? Because that's the only way we're going to be able to move forward in a healthy relationship. That's it. But on the other hand, what he's saying with the white women, they are willing to say sorry. I'll tell you right now, they are willing to say, I am sorry. I was wrong. Let's move on with this. Like, straight up.
Because
I ain't gonna lie to you.
this. They are less emotional. White women to me are softer. Yes, I do give that.
Yes,
and that's why I say I just
100%,
don't want to count my
100%.
black women
I
out
love the
because
honesty right now, bro. Because we were
Yo,
very
bro, it's not a
politically correct
lie.
just now.
Like, if you get to the nitty gritty of it and you break it down, you did it wrong, Christine. Oh, I'm sorry. They're gonna fucking break, fold, and cry and sorry you to death. I don't
Right,
know what I was
right,
thinking.
right,
That's
right.
honest.
But hey, but what do you hear white women say all the time? They like white women who like black men. They say it all the time. I like black men because they're more nurturing, they're more lovers, they're more compassionate. Like, they're just compassionate men. White men are just kind of like brash and really like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
almost
like
like
stern,
aggressively. Yeah. And black men are more like, how do I you know why we're like that though? Because we deal with hardcore black women all our lives. So all we're trying to do the whole time is compromise. We're trying to be like, please, I do not want to fight with you. What's going on? How can I help you right now? Like, we're trying to like nurture, we're trying to calm the situation down, right? So even though this is not a black woman we're dealing with, we deal with her like we dealing with a black woman. They're like, oh man, this is amazing. The white woman's like, this is amazing. He's so understanding. He's so soft. It's like, yeah, because in my mind, my first instinct is to say she's probably gonna ream me out real quick. Let me calm this down before she gets to the level I can't take. Like, I can't deal with that. And so, but we don't know that it's honest. It's different, like with a white woman, it's just different.
That's a very valid point, Rainick, right there. You just raised. That's a valid point. Okay.
I'm telling you.
So I think on this particular question, we could all agree that Paul Pierce wasn't wrong in making this point that for whatever reason, there's less willingness to come to the table.
Even though the white man is brash, like you said, right? You gotta think about it. White women grow up with the brash sternness, but the black women grow up in the tuck your chin, little nigga, type of environment too. If that makes any sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
the black man is more groomed to not show emotion.
It's
I
like
love that. Yeah, let your wife weigh in on that for sure. We need a woman's perspective as well. We don't just want this to be one-sided. So if you want to
no.
hop in there, love, hop in, share your thoughts.
But no, but okay, go ahead.
And I agree and disagree. I feel like in the black, it's different because for a man, this is from what I see from a man point of view. As a little boy, a black man is more groomed not to show an emotion and tap into his emotional side, his sensitive side. If he cries, oh, you're a boy, you gotta grow to be a man. You can't, you know what I'm saying? So he is a little bit hard, like, how can I say, harsher to not showing his emotions, right? And not tapping into it. So I feel like as you grow older and you become with a two black man and a black woman, you're both now bumping heads because of both of y'all was both groomed in different situations of being harsh, like going.
That's what I was saying earlier, Emmanuel. I was saying that earlier. She's talking exactly what I was saying. I said that's why you can't be hard on the black woman for how she is when it comes to being tough, because she was raised to be that way. Same as the black man. We are raised to just be super tough. So like, of course, the two people in society are seen as, we as people are seen as very aggressive people, but we go through so much trials and tribulation in society that we're bred to be that way, because it's the only way we can survive is to be super tough and to be super on guard about everything, because if we're not, we're gonna get ran over and left behind.
And that comes from either way. So you're always like you say, you're going to be on guard. So as a black man is groomed to be tough and a black woman is groomed to be tough, now they become in a relationship and they trying to love each other. You're both already got your guards up, because the perspective of both of y'all through growth in the household was that, oh, you didn't see a man in the household for a woman, so you're already groomed to he's not going to do too much. And as a black man growing up, you're already groomed to like, oh, this black woman is going to be disrespectful to me. She's not going to be understanding, because you already have this perspective in your mindset. If you don't come with that perception, it's a little easier to deal with if you take that guard down. But that comes from, like Dash said, growing to know each other's and their emotion, because at the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you. Right. And everybody's love language is not the same. So, and then what I've also think that is a lot of people, like for black situations, they get into a situation where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. The first thing they think about is, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go and I'm going to leave, and that's it, and we'll grow apart. But then you come into another situation where it's the same situation. And the only reason why it's always continues to be the same situation, because still there's something about you as an individual that you're not taking time to change as in yourself.
I'm gonna ask you this question. I love that you brought in this feedback, because I think a lot of times we're not effective at communicating where we're coming from with each other. I feel like that's one of the biggest areas in relationship where we go wrong, is that it takes certain skills to say, well, here's my point of view, please consider it. So as a black woman, as you hear some of this feedback from different types of black men, how do you see it? Do you think what's being said is accurate? Do you think what's being done on the part of black women is justified? Like, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree that black women can be a little harder. But that is because of the way that the system has made it to where, like, you grow up, you can have the man there, but then they put us in the system where, okay, let's think about it. We were already failed from the beginning as a nationality, period. We was not meant, like, they put all of these things out there, like, well, if you don't have a black man in your household, you can get public assistance, you can get this, you can get that, but this man cannot be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they already put us to be a broken home, right?
Right.
That's exactly, they've already systematically made us a broken home from the beginning, out of our control. You know what I mean? Because they made us dependent on not our black men, but the white man system.
Facts.
Right. That's why. Sorry to butt in, but what do you think about this? Right. By the way, I love these types of conversations because, as a righteous black man, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's nothing more I think about than internal healing and growth, and to rely on us before we start asking for things from others, right? So in these instances, like you said, right? Oh, we're already scorned. We already come into relationship with each other not understanding each other because we're both dealing with our own issues, right? So what do you think about this? If I tell you the minute I get with you, if I tell you protect me, protect you, right? Like the term help me, help you. Help me so I can help you. Protect me, protect you. So if you protect me, I'm automatically going to protect you. So when we walk into this union here, I need you to always be thinking about how do you protect me? Not just from everything outside of us, but between us too. Protect me. Keep me sane, keep me forward movement, keep me encouraged. Yeah, keep me strong. And that's emotionally, mentally, physically. You got to keep me nurtured, keep me protected so that I can always protect you, because now I'm coming out of this house thinking about my black woman that I have at home who protects me in every way, shape, and form. And we may have our issues, but she's honest about the fact that she has her issues, and I'm honest about the fact that I have my issues. But we love each other for those issues, and we protect each other because we have those issues, because we understand we have those issues. So our first objective is to heal each other, which is protection. As you look at it,
Right?
You does that make sense to you?
No, it makes a lot of sense, because that's where to heal each other, you also got to heal yourself.
Right.
As an individual. But like you said, as a black woman with a black man, we need to actually really tap into ourselves and understand that we as a black woman, we are supposed to nurture, we're supposed to protect, you know what I mean? Because our
Right.
black men are already going out into a world of so much judgment and so much scrutiny that we should have to understand that when they come home to us, they shouldn't have to do. Although we as a woman should be strong enough to also, we might have our opinion, right, of whatever's going on, and it might not feel right, but we should still at the same time say, hey, listen, black man, you're still a king, you're good. No matter what this world comes, just know that I love you. You're doing a good job. Even if he's given the minimum, you have to still. You have to feed life into that black man for that black man to be what it is
Yes,
that you want.
it's the us against the world concept, right? It's us against the world.
I love that.
We do this as a union, right? It's at the end of the day, we are the only people who understand us, right? At the end of the day, I can go and I can be with a white woman, but she's never gonna understand me the way a black woman does. Right. So, and a white man will never understand a black woman the way I understand a black woman. So in reality, that's the conversation that needs to be had, is why are we escaping each other when we understand each other, when we're literally walking aside ourselves at the end of the day?
So now I'm gonna actually pose the next question, because this is one of those areas where I've heard feedback on both sides. Black women sometimes feel like their black men don't do enough to protect them, to protect their image, to protect them, provide for them, things of that nature. They sometimes feel like they're carrying their men. A lot of black men sometimes feel like their black women don't protect their image as they go out and try to fend for their family.
Until the last minute.
The black woman talking about there's no good men out there. The dating pool is trash. And these men aren't shit. Whatever, right? So it seems like we both, on both sides of the fence, have the same sentiment about each other. Either the black man don't feel like his black woman, his counterpart, is protecting him, or the black woman don't feel like the black man is protecting her enough. What say you? And I want to get a female's opinion on this, and we'll bounce back to the men. What say you on that? Do you believe from conversations you've had with your female friends, is that something that you commonly heard on the part of women feeling like, black women feeling like their black men don't do enough to protect them? And do you believe that that's an accurate statement from their part? And then we'll jump to the men to ask their point of view on that exact topic. What's your thoughts?
I'm not one of those women that's just because I'm a woman, I'm like gung-ho for a female. No. I'm on the side of right is right, wrong is wrong, because I also tell my female friends when they have issues with they male partners, like, listen, you could have did that this way, right? And I say that because a lot of black women, right, they have this thing to where they have what is it? They feel like, how can I say, like they're privileged, like, oh, because I'm black and I get a black man, he should take care of me or he should do this. But I always say, you want this man to come into your life to take care of you, but what is it that you gonna bring to the table? You have to bring something to the table for this black man to want to do that for you as well. Because at the end of the day, you as a woman should already, like, as an individual, when two people come together, y'all should already have something to bring to the table in a relationship, because that's how y'all gonna grow. You shouldn't come into a relationship thinking this person is gonna make me who I am. You should already be who you are as a person. And as a black woman, you shouldn't think because he's a black man, he's supposed to do this and he's supposed to do that. What can you also provide and give to this black man? Like, how can you make your black man grow instead of him providing and making you just grow? It don't work like that. That's how I see it. Like, we as women, period, need to work on ourselves and not just seeing that just because he's a black man and he's supposed to provide and he's supposed to bring the strength. But at the end of the day, what are we doing? Because you have sometimes where you have the black man, he go out there all day. You got the woman home and she don't do nothing. What she just don't do anything. What are you doing? Like, he don't have a cooked meal. The house is not clean, and you've been on the phone with your friend all day. You've been watching TV, reality shows, sitcoms, and it's like, what are you bringing? You still have to bring something, because if you do want this man to provide for you, what are you going to provide for this man?
It's a very, very good point. But now let me ask you this question. I'm not sure I caught your exact answer on that. You brought some good points. Do you believe that it is the sentiment of black women, just the majority of friends that you may have in your circle, that they feel unprotected by the man? Meaning, like, is their feedback amongst themselves that they don't feel like their black men protect them? Do they feel like, oh, the black man ain't really shit, he ain't doing enough to protect them, so they'll misrepresent their image and they won't stand up for them when they should be? I just want to first ask you, is that generally something you hear in those women's circles?
Yeah, I do hear that. And that's where me, as I come in, like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you now doing? I have to bring the perspective back to them as a woman, because a lot of the times, like they say, you can point your fingers, right? You can point your one finger at somebody, but there's still a three fingers still pointing back at you. You have to, you know what I mean? So you could say, oh, the black man, he's not protecting me. He's not protecting me. But what are you giving him anything still? It still has to go back to that woman. You get what I'm saying? Like, everybody in a relationship, in any type of relationship, if it's a friendship, if it's a husband or wife, you still have to understand what part do you take in it. And I think that's where a lot of times everything gets wrong. But it is. You have women that will say, my black man doesn't protect me. But you still have to go back to that question. What are you doing for the black man to protect you, though? Are you protecting him? Because everything goes off of energy.
Facts.
Right? So if you're not giving this black man any energy to do anything for you, to protect you, how can he do it if you're not giving him nothing to return back to?
That's a good point. So now my question goes to Dash. Do you feel, just not necessarily in your situation, I know you guys got a really good relationship.
Oh, no.
They're not
I'm gonna
convinced.
be honest. I answered the question straight. Yes, I do believe it, and it's sad because statistically, I see like black brothers now are so fucking caught up in the drugs. Pardon my language, but it just pisses me off.
Mhm.
The drug barrier is bad. Like there's no stop. Like whereas in, and I want to say this just constructionally, just by viewing everyday life. I see white guys that use the same drugs, but they will get up and function. They'll go to work, they'll continue their job, and they got a little raggedy girlfriend that they love the death out of. Uh, Black men, we're now in jail. We're now caught up because the habits that you choose the route of got you out here geeking to where, you know what I'm saying? It's so good that you overdoing your limits now. Where to me, I just see the same. Not gonna say you don't see white people with the nod and the lay down, standing up, but statistical facts. How many white niggas you see on Wall Street blowing coke heavy, and they have great jobs and are able to sustain the job. And I
Function.
wouldn't say privilegedly they're sustaining it. No, they're actually up, still being productive, while the black people are resorting to it like this is their fantasy life. Like I'm the drug kingpin, or I used it and this prohibited me from getting up. You hear, oh, I was smashed, I was drunk, I was high, I was this, and they can't get up for work. Whereas in these guys are still suiting and tying, janitor outfitting up, and truck driving, and they're on the go.
So let me ask this question. So going back to what I asked, do you feel as a black man that the black woman doesn't do enough to protect your image? Do they misrepresent black men in terms of how they speak about us in the public square?
Well, you can't be misled by speaking the truth, though. And I feel like if
Do
that's
you
the
feel like the
statistic we
black
need,
woman's critique of black men are accurate, and so therefore they should continue to represent us in the light that they do?
no, don't represent us in that light. But it could be a hard statement for one, you know, and I want to say this in good faith. I
Mhm.
live in Richmond, Virginia. I see a large population where I hear niggas, I gotta go pick my shawty up from work. I gotta go pick my girl up from work. And they home playing the game. And they in the crib or waiting for their shorty to give them some money.
It's true.
Because they driving their shorty car. Because, you know, I hate it with a passion to hear us as men relying on women.
That's a fact. That's a
Okay.
fact. That's
And
a fair point.
I just want to say it. You look at the younger generation, we could look at generation. Just look at it though.
But speaking of that point, though, is that a problem that was created by the fact that the woman didn't necessarily do her best effort to make the relationship work with the man that should have been in the house? Meaning, can you then be critical of the young men you raise if you raise them in the same single parent household you came from? Now the
It,
women are
it's,
critical of the
it
men
would be
that the other women
contradictory.
raised.
It would
No,
kind of be a contradictory fact because as a woman, what's her place now as she, as a mother, stands with what is as a child, previews all visualizes dad over here sitting here with the stand-up nod and he can't get a job or keep it because he too damn hot.
that's
The
true.
white people not expressing that type of highness, and then they still have decency. You know what? And then this is where I start to speak of different factors and start to factor in different points.
Mhm.
If they're going to still have a mentality of I don't want nobody to know I do drugs, they want to still keep this G14 classified. We are now as a black hole because guess what? You can lead a horse to a water, but you can't make him drink it.
Mhm.
Don't lead me to drugs, and I know they drugs, and you're gonna force me to take them. I don't feel they're being forced. That's one. And if you're taking these drugs free and willingly, when you rehab to where now your conscience the next day, and you know this was the behavior, you know this was the gone feeling, you know that was this, and you appreciate that out in the open, out in public, you're geek now, people have seen this. This is a bad representation of us, but it is us who's choosing to do this and display this. We don't have this white talent. He didn't come. You know, we're not talking about the Waffle Houses. I can see where poor white trash is working at the Waffle House, and you got the little white lady over there. She nodding. I've seen a few of that. No, we talking about real constructible, younger generational black. This is our black generation. They're nodding. You could catch them at work, but these whites are functioning off the same drugs. So if they're not for us, they're not for us. I say as a black, we need to leave that alone. We have our own minds that can think. We're not forced to do this.
That's a fair point. But I'm gonna kind of bring it back into the fact that this conversation started around Paul Pierce.
Got him.
An example that you talking about, it sounds like an unproductive black man who's not bringing nothing in, and black women are being critical of them. So the question then becomes, how come a productive NBA player has the same sentiment about the temperament of a black woman when that's not the situation?
Because I take it like this too. Money plays a big factor in things.
Yeah, but in this case, the NBA players is the millionaires. They're the high tier man, and they're still having a hard time getting along with their black counterpart women. So
Emmanuel, what are we talking about here? I don't think there's it's very hard to understand here. Black women don't give a damn about how much money you make when it comes to the way they are. That, like, their personality is their personality. How much you make is a fucking far gone conclusion. They don't give a shit about that. Like, at the end of the day, it's called how I feel and whether or not I'm going to make my statement on how I feel, and making sure that you understand that this is how I feel. And I'm not going to hold no punches. I'm going to tell you straight up how it is. So yeah, exactly. So, but the difference between the white woman and the black woman is that a white woman is going to tap into the big picture, and she's going to go, I can't fucking make that move, because if I make that move, it's not in the best of my interest at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to shut the fuck up, and I'm just going to swallow my goddamn tongue and pick my battles. Like, I'm not going to speak out of turn right now because it is not the right time. And I'm going to think about my best interest. The black woman's not thinking about her best interest. She's thinking about her emotions. She's saying, you're not going to disrespect me. No. You know what I'm saying? She's like, we're going to get this straight right now. We ain't having none of that. Now you got a black man who's saying, man, you don't know how to shut the fuck up. Now now you're just a headache now, because every single time I got to keep telling you who you talking to. Do you know did you hear what you just said? So every time a black man says to himself or to her, who you talking to? Who you think you talking to? Every time he says that, he's one more step out the door. Because every man should never have to get to the point where he has to tell a woman, or he has to think to himself about a woman, who you think you talking to?
Wow. So Dash is right. I want to get your female. Is he wrong with what he just said?
No, he's not, because see, like he said, the white woman, to me, they're more emotionally stable, where a black woman is emotionally unstable, because at the end of the day, see, a black woman, she's so built on the fact that, oh, you disrespected me, instead of if I say something wrong, I'm gonna fuck this shit up. Like this, it's about a control thing. To me, a black woman wants to have more control, and a white woman, like, man, she's saying I have more control, because in all actuality, she would have more control, because she thinks it properly to know that I'm gonna shut the fuck up. If I don't, I'm gonna mess up my bag.
100%. See, you smart. See, that's what I'm saying. A white woman has more control over a man than a black man does. You know why? Because she's strategic about it, right? Yes. She's studying the 48 laws of power, which is never outshine the master. Right. Let him feel like he's running the show, while you sitting back making big deals and making big, like, you know what I'm saying? She's taking care of everything. At the end of the day, If that woman ain't there, that man's world is gonna come crumbling down because that woman takes care of all the shit
Right.
at the end of the day.
Right.
But she gonna let him feel like he runs shit all the time, like in certain places where she knows it's all about his ego. I just gotta shut up and let him have his ego.
Right.
And then I'm gonna have everything else. Exactly. But look, but by the way, us men, FYI to the women, we know that, and we're okay with it. We're okay with it. All we want from you is just to make me feel powerful in this union we got here. Respect my mind. That's it. Respect my mind at the end of the day. Because if you respect my mind, I will give you everything. You know what I like to say? And I've said it over and over and over again to many women, and they think I'm being egotistical when I say it. I say, don't say to me, happy wife, happy life. Because you can't have that without having a happy man if you want a long-term plan. Happy man, long-term plan. That's how it works. You can't have a long-term plan if you ain't got a happy man. So if you ain't got a happy man, you can't have a happy wife, happy life. It's not happening. It all starts with the man. So at the end of the day, you want a happy wife, happy life, you better think about the fact that you need a happy man for a long-term plan.
So let me ask this question. So your point of view then is that you don't feel black women do enough to protect their man or the image of their man.
That's right. Even within the privacy of their relationship, it doesn't happen. So if it doesn't happen in the privacy of their relationship, it's not going to happen in the public eye of their relationship. It's the same thing that said every black kid is told this. Don't you go and talk about nothing up outside of this house that's internal in this house. You keep everything in this house. Don't you go talking to them neighbors about what we do up in here, right? So it's the same, but guess what? None of that carries over into our relationships with each other. None of it. That holy trinity of what happens in house stays in house. You don't talk about
social media these days, and everybody putting everybody on blast on social media, and we're fighting openly on social media. Oh, look at Cardi B and the Cardi B and her ex situation, and their whole personal lives are being debated online for people to weigh in on that. These are some of the topics that we're talking about. How do we fix that though?
White women are the women that's gonna sit there and stand by it. I mean, I just have to be honest. If you show him on that screen, you seen the Morvie screen when the dude he's sitting here looking there asleep or whatever, and you ask the white girl, "Is that your man?" "Yeah, that's my man." "You gonna stick by that man?" "Yeah, I'm gonna stick by that man." The black woman's not gonna say that. Because why? Already society has viewed this right now. So say for instance, what's in this house stays in this house. But how can I expect my black woman to still not talk shit about me if I'm out with her? And I know you've seen this. Niggas out with their girl. They could be out with their girl and kid. He high and is dozing doing all this with the family too. You see niggas walking around and they have slumped. They with the family. Now,
yeah,
when
but that's
people
that starts with protection.
People are viewing this, right? Now look now, your girl, babe, come on. Babe, come on. You can't fight no drug addict. All you can do is pray. These men outweigh these women, and they got to deal with a drug addict man. The public
My
is
guy,
viewing that.
my guy. Listen, I'm around a lot of white people and a lot of white people in relationships. Want me to tell you something?
Oh yeah.
Ain't no mother effing way a white woman gonna let her white husband come outside of the house if he acting. It's just one time you act like that, and we never going out again until I can trust that you got your shit together. So I don't want to hear nothing about none of that about he falls.
But see, look,
no,
you see
it's
the
called
difference. What we
protection.
said though, let's how the
But
white woman
that's what I'm
gain
saying.
control.
But that's protection, though. That's a form of protection. Even though she's giving you shit and saying, "I'm not going out with you anymore until you can prove that you're not going to do some shit like you did over there again." That's protection. She's protecting him.
The image.
Even though it may look, even though it may look crazy, she's like, "I'm protecting you so you can protect us." And that's what we got to do the same thing. It's like, man, I'm sorry, but you're not doing those.
Why would we give our black woman could be doing the same thing? But I was just making the point of, all right, now it's like, I saw your man, he ain't shit. Women have defended us still at times But I'm just saying, we put ourselves, not all, some have put themselves in a predicament where how can you not talk about this shit? It's embarrassing. You keep, like, time progress, you keep making them think. Few months go by, I'm clean, I'll never do it, and then they do it. Things happen. We have women of chance. You know what I'm saying, though? I say that. Our black women, I give them that because you think about it now. White women protect and they do everything. But I do feel like they'll jump on a divorce rack quicker than black women.
That's true. But let me say this. I do feel that a lot of times black women do feel like their men don't protect them. And to Dash's point, there's some valid arguments for that, especially if the man is not responsible, if the man is not pulling his weight, he's not productive. You know what I'm saying? Yes, a man like that who hasn't managed his life accordingly is not going to do a good job managing a life with you, right? The Bible says 2 principles that we got to follow. Love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. A man who don't love himself cannot love his neighbor properly. A man who don't love himself enough to take care of himself cannot take care of his partner properly, cannot take care of his children properly. So to a point, they're right in making that assessment. But then there's also the responsibility of why would that woman choose that man to be with, right? There's good men and there's bad men. Why are you choosing the drug addict to devote your life for? Why are you not choosing a better quality man when there's plenty of them out there?
You know, those programs, it's like a program, like, you know, you gotta wait 90 days before you could get out. You gotta wait 90 days before you could not be late at work. So you got relationship programs, I feel. Because everything don't come as all peaches and cream at the beginning of things. Then when you get in to learn that person who they really are, I've heard a lot of people want to backtrack. Then, boy, if I would have knew this at the beginning,
I would not. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I also think though too, when you start to see those things that ain't right, as like you said, but why would a woman stay there? I feel like that's because in all actuality, she's not healed herself. Because
she's
you're
used
not
to
gonna
dysfunction.
You're not gonna stay. If you are a healed woman and know you deserve better, you are not going. I don't care how much you love this person. You are not to continue to put yourself in that. You're going to let him go, and you're gonna go on your way and hope that he gets better. But that's what I said from the beginning. It all comes from an individual healing and knowing your own individual worth.
Great point. Great point. Very valid point. So
But
is it
still, that's an answer of what can lead the black woman to represent us
In a bad light?
In a bad light. That's a fair point. I'm not saying that there isn't these anecdotal experiences where that is appropriate, because everything is not absolute. Not every man is responsible. Not every woman is irresponsible. So I would never stand on the side and just throw shade on a black woman and saying there's never an instance where there's not valid points. I think this conversation is generally speaking, and generalizations is something you do that does not represent the absolute, because there are examples of beautiful relationship like yourself and your wife Dash. There are plenty of great, admirable black couples that grind for each other every day. But I think generally speaking, there is a large sample size of women either on TikTok, online, misrepresenting black relationship or the black man's image, or a black man misrepresenting the black woman's image. The point is, there's a lack of protection on both sides of the fence, which explains why we're always at odds, which explains why a productive NBA player, you're not going to get any better than that. In terms of earning potential, a guy who's getting a $50 to $65 million contract a year, he's saying if he had to choose between choosing a black woman where that looks like his mother, that looks like his daughter, he would rather go choose to be with a woman of a different color or a different race, because it's more peaceful and manageable, that to me means there's a bigger problem that we need to get to the bottom of.
We have been talking about this for like decades, though, you know, because it is a field of where we're in harmony with understanding that, yes, our black nature, period, whether it be women, male, it's rough. So they say in this instance, I go with the opposites attract because, yes, if we go with our black on black, it's kind of just going to be like a black on black crime thing because black men are still going to come at you full force with predominantly positive feedings that are going to show you where, yeah, we're winning the race here, where women is disrespectful to men. And then you're going to have some women that are going to be able to chime in with great positive feedback and statistics that can show, like, well, this is our black male. But I feel like it all still stems from us, literally how we were bred. We have to change, we have to some way go back to change how we were bred because we still came from that line where we were just born to believe in this. Well, like I said, when you watch it growing up, slavery, a black man walks away from a family and it looks like he's walking away. But as he's being sent away, he's still being sent away. And yeah, emotions at first, I miss, but you're going to start a new life. You're going to do new things. You're going to keep, and life is going to keep re-going. So that's where I feel like it did mess us up as a society.
And as you say that point, I think too, like what it is too, where I feel like maybe a black woman can get like the man didn't protect because like he said in slavery, when you think about it, you go back then, they took our black man from us, which made it look like he didn't care. Because you have some black women that'll probably say, well, you didn't fight for us. You didn't fight to stay. You didn't fight to do this. So they feel like you should have laid down your life for your family. Like this white man gonna take you from me. While we feel like instead of you being taken, you should have fought and just died. Like we rather some women look at you like we rather for you to just die. At least you put up a fight to fight for us.
I would have preferred you dead fighting for me than alive not fighting for me.
Right.
Which sounds crazy, but okay.
It sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy, but that's part of the word protect.
Right. It sounds crazy.
So you're telling me you think that black women hold a little bit of a grudge that black men didn't do enough to fight for them when they were being enslaved, and now they've had to be subjected to this, this white oppressor, you know what I mean, kind of taking advantage. Because so you're saying you feel like some black women hold it against their black men that they didn't do enough to fight for them.
Right. Yeah, and I see that's where probably it can start from, and then because you think about it, it's generational. Slavery was how many years ago, right? So you think now, all right, you think about being enslaved. Oh, your daddy didn't fight was he just let the white man take him away. He didn't do nothing. So now it's in the little girl head, right? That my daddy didn't do nothing to stay with us.
Wow. That's a very insightful point of view. And this is why I like to have the conversation where I'm getting both sides of the story, because that wouldn't have been something I considered. I wouldn't have thought that the reason I can't get this black girl I'm in relationship with to work with me cooperatively in the house is because somewhere deep down in her psyche is this resentment that she descended from a group of black men that never protected her. And now she's holding me responsible for what her grandparents didn't do or what my grandparents didn't do.
It's just a line that's generationally followed. And then like we get used to it's like a factor. This is why I say factor it in from our savory line. We got taken from our wives that we love, and they looking at us like we just left or we just gonna leave without trying to fight for them. Mind you, they got us by the neck and the rope, taking us to another plantation, trading us off because they will not have us in love.
Right. So it was already, we were already broken before we even had a chance.
This is very insightful conversation. Rennick, what say you about that particular point she just raised?
You know how you know how I feel, which is, you know what I mean, like at the end of the day, it comes down to just being honest about the fact that we have these issues about separation and the separation of how we configure that we actually understand things, where of course society has said black women go this way, black men go that way. And now we have this, when we try and come together, it's just it's like two magnets trying to come together. You're trying to come together, but you're forced away from each other, right? And unless we're willing to have that hard conversation about the fact that we, from the minute we start to form a bond, we don't agree. Until we have that conversation, to be honest with each other, we're not going to get anywhere. And but also at the end of the day, it's bigger than, I mean, man, you know how we've had many conversations, but it's bigger than us not being able to have a stabilized relationship. It's bigger than that. It's really a matter of the fact that as a culture, we are under constant destruction and disruption. Destruction from within and disruption from without. You know, from the opposites of us coming in and messing up what we have established. You know, if I have a domino set and I've put a line and someone comes and tips one of my dominoes and it just breaks the whole line, it collapses the whole line, I gotta get up and build it again. Can I do it? Of course. Is it fairly simple? Yeah. But what does that matter when I have to put all this energy into building it up all over again and over again and over again? And then guess what happens? I have no progress. I have no time to further build my dominoes, right? So
you restack it just to get to where you were before it was broken. So now
that's right. So
competition's further ahead of you while you're just trying to get up the pace.
Right. And guess what happens when you continue to build your dominoes up? When someone knocks it down and you build it back up, what happens? By nature, as a human being, you feel a little bit of success and you become okay with that success because you're receiving a little bit of it. So you're not willing to be upset about your little bit of success because you know why? At least you have some. So you don't think about what you are losing and what you have lost because of what you are gaining in the moment, which keeps you blinded from what you could have had a long time ago, right? So when we look at this and we talk about disruption, there needs to be that hard conversation within ourselves that says to us, we cannot have a healthy relationship internally within our own people unless we start talking about how we value ourselves and how we look amongst people who don't look like us. How do we portray ourselves? Then after we talk about ourselves and how we portraying ourselves, now we can start to talk about how do we look together, because we can't talk about being together if we're not talking about our individual selves, which ultimately everybody is our individual selves. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta, you know, it's the rap music. I hate to say it, but it's the rap music, is the glorifying of all these different things that happen in the community. It's like, oh, it's culture, is this culture, that. Man, never should violence be culture. Never should selling drugs be culture. Never should saying nigga, nigga, nigga be culture. Never should, there ain't no way I'm gonna call my son a moolie if everybody's calling him a moolie because he's mixed. I'm not just gonna start calling him that because it's everybody's calling him that. So I'm gonna call him that to say, oh, I'm taking power over it. You ain't taking no power over nothing. Everybody hearing you talking crap about yourself, and then you expect everybody not to call you when you call yourself it all the time. Wow. In a public forum. If you do it at home, all cool. But don't go into a public forum spewing out things that hold you down amongst people who are trying to hold you down.
because you can't ask them to lift you up if you're constantly holding yourself down. So until we can deal with that reality, we can never have a healthy like union of relationships within our own people when it comes to coming together. We're always going to be at odds from the moment we start to figure out how to be together.
Wow.
Always going to be there. That's my position on it. I mean, I can go on and on because I have other things that I think about, but I just want to keep it short. But that's the pure effort of what I'm trying to say is that there needs to be a hard revolutionary discussion about how we publicize ourselves individually, which means individually means everybody. We as individual are one. So how do we publicize?
I see what you're saying. So you're saying before we can heal our relationship problems, we have to heal our personal problems. Looking at the man in the mirror and say, why do I go out the house and have my pants sagging down when that's gym?
That's right.
Why do I go out the house and I refer to my black woman or my black female, could have been my mother, could have been my daughter, could be my sister, as a bitch or as something negative or derogatory? Or as from the woman's side, why is a woman going outside sexualizing herself, showing all her assets, showing her body parts, twerking everywhere, right? The fact that there isn't enough consideration as to how that looks in the public square is a fueled as to why our relationships are not working internally within our households, because we're not even given enough regard to how we portray ourselves in the public square individually. So how then could we care about how we portray our relationships in the public square? It's true.
Right. Why do we continue to precipitate stereotypes that are placed upon us? Why do we do those things? Like, as opposed to saying, I am going to fight against that and do the opposite of that. Why would I do that? No way. No other. Think about it like this. As I always say, do as the Jews do. When you're in Jerusalem, do as the Jews. If we as a people took on the same exact narrative the Jews did, if we considered ourselves to be as one as the Jews do, where they go Hasidic Jew, regular Jew, still a fucking Jew. So don't disrespect either one. I don't give a fuck. So imagine if we were able to come together and say, black man from the hood, black man from the suburb, don't you disrespect either one. I don't want to hear I don't want to hear you call the black man from the suburb articulate, whatever. Don't call him that. And I don't want to hear you call the black man from the hood ghetto. I don't want to hear that. Do not use terminology towards us that is demeaning towards us at all whatsoever. So the minute we find our own word that is relevant to anti-Semitism is the moment we start power. Is the moment we start to hold power. When we can say, hey, you are a separatist or whatever you want to call it, right? When we find our word and we come together as one to say, I am going to fight for every single one that looks like me. I don't give a damn where they come from or how they celebrate themselves. I'm going to fight for every single one until we get it right. But we got to have one. We got to be on one accord. We can't have this whole what do they call it? Birthright or land something, birthright African, or what is it called?
Birtherism, I think.
No, like the people who deserve. There's a group of black people who say, oh, only these people. Foundational blacks, right? Foundational black Americans. Okay, that's a bunch of crap, right? So it's like. You can't say, I don't give a fuck if you're African, you come here and you've been here for 2 days, you're black here. I don't give a shit. So the minute you get over here, they gotta respect you like I want them to respect me. I don't care. We all look the same. We gotta fight for each other no matter where in the fucking world we come from. And I don't.
So what you're saying
at the end of the day,
to start a new trend amongst ourselves. It's gotta be.
You know what's foul, and I hate to say this, but he's talking of a world that really only exists like in jail. If you go to jail, if you're black, you gotta stay with your own kind. That's how if the world could grasp it, like we're black, you gotta respect that black man the same way you gotta respect that black man. Now, that's exactly
Right.
what he's saying.
What you're saying.
But that's what. But imagine if somebody could articulate that in a sophisticated way to say,
Right.
we need to move within our society that says we are together and never apart.
That
So I don't
example,
give a
but great example because that's what you're actually meaning. But I'm following.
but that's what I'm saying is that we have to be able there. But you're gonna have ignorant people in every society, right? In every culture of people, right? You're gonna have ignorance. That's you can't do nothing about that. But when you have the majority that say, "Hey, man, you cannot," listen. I dare you to say nigga on TV. I dare you, and see if you don't lose your fucking job. I dare you, woman, to say that word and see if you don't lose your job or if you don't lose your life. Like, I dare you. If the minute we start to stand and say we ain't taking no more fuck shit, no more. Like it's over. It's over. The minute we start to say that, and we say, and we
fair point. Because any type of criticism you have of any Jew, they calling it anti-Semitism.
You out of here. You out of here.
They're shutting it down. Your university not getting no funding. They're gonna go to great lengths to shut down any critical statement you got to say.
You know why, Emmanuel?
You need to take the same level of any critical thing you saying about a black person. We're gonna stop buying products. We gonna, you know what I mean? We're gonna protest in the same exact way that a Jewish person would protest if you said anything anti-Semitic.
Right. But you know why? You know why, Emmanuel? Because Jewish people, and I'm versed with this because I'm involved in a Jewish family, right? When you know what Jewish people do? They do church. Guess what? 20% of their purse don't go back to no goddamn church. They don't go back to the synagogue. You know what they do? They leave the synagogue funding to the government, and they go ask for the government funding, and they leave it there. The congregation don't give back to the synagogue. You know where the 20% goes? It goes, the 20% of their purse goes back into the community, into things to help the Jews to become more successful. They go and they give to like studios and different major markets, and like they go and they give to like the mom and pop store at the end of the corner. Like everything is Jewish, and then that 80%
crowdfunding before that existed.
Yes, and then that 80%, that 80% goes back into their family, and then it goes back into education. That's how they do it. For the Jews, though, they don't do it for no other people. So all their money, every single fucking penny goes back into their community. Unless they're going to stores and buying food and electronics that they gotta buy for like Hanukkah and shit. Everything else is back into the community. That's it. So the minute we start doing that, where we go, I don't necessarily even have to go and purchase it for black owned, right? But if I'm not buying black owned, I'm gonna put my money into a black bank. I'm gonna put my money into a theater that's black owned. I'm gonna put my money into a black universities to help build them up. Imagine if we just gave our money to just all black universities. We didn't give no money to no regular university, no fucking PWI. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if we did that. Imagine if we said, you know what? We're just gonna start a whole. Remember what me and you were talking about starting that fund for nonprofit investments? Imagine if we started that and people just started going there, and we just said we are not investing for no other race but our own. So if you want to come here, you have to look like us, and if you don't look like us, you better have a little bit of us in you that shows me visually that you got something in you. Imagine if we did that, where we said we are just investing in the community, and we're going to show you how to invest and how you make this money so that you can start to do this, and then IPOs lead to just financial knowledge overall. Now you got black people just being like, oh shit, I know how to do that. I know what that means. I know what a stop is. I know what a put is. I know what a call is. I'm going and investing. You know what I'm saying? The minute we start to do that, things change. Now people start to feel powerful, and now what happens with power? You start to access it in other areas. So now you're like, I don't just want power in one area. Now I want power in my community. Now I want power with how I'm seen every day, and when I walk out my door. If I go into a supermarket or into a 7-Eleven and you look at me crazy, it's gonna be a bad day for you. You're gonna lose this 7-Eleven. You better not look at me crazy. If I walk across the street and you walk across the street, you're gonna lose something. Something gonna happen that's not gonna make you feel good, because you shouldn't treat me like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all these little things that lower us in status needs to be effectively written down and dealt with, and it needs to come to a head where we're being honest with ourselves that this is lowering my value. When a white woman walks across the street because I'm a black man and I cross the street, that lowers my value. When I walk into a 7-Eleven or into a mom and pop store and the guy's staring at me on my every move, that lowers my value. When I go into a Target and I hear about a Target saying that they don't want to sell to my community, and then I go and buy some underwear at Target, that lowers my value. I can't do anything that lowers my value as a human, but more than anything as a black man and as a black person, human, right? So those things, and that goes to another thing as well. The term black, it's not a real thing. Nobody's actually black. We're fucking brown. We're dark brown people. All right. So the minute we start to get rid of that term, because that term was invented by a white slave owner, called us black, because they wanted to say you're the complete opposite of what anything that is righteous is. You are the opposite. You'll never be anything close to this. So you are that. You are the darkness. You are what everyone is afraid of because they can't see it. The minute we start to abolish that word black when it comes to people, because you look at me right now, there ain't nothing black about me. I'm chocolate brown. So the minute we start to respect ourselves and say, stop calling me that. This is who I am. This is where I come from. You can call me that. You can say that dark brown man. You can do that. I like that. The minute we start to be honest about this type of shit, instead of being like, oh, that's fine to call me black, man, start doing your homework. And I guarantee you wouldn't want nobody calling you black no more. I promise you, you do your homework, you won't want nobody calling you black. You just won't.
We need to unlearn certain things. That's the thing, because it's just a systematic white educational thing where we as black, and I say it all the time, what's wrong with our culture now, we don't want to read and educate and find out our culture. We don't want to do that, and
because it's hard.
Right, it's they make
because
it
it's
so
hard.
Right, but as people, like, I feel like, as the older generation of black people, we looking at our youngins and we're like, oh, y'all don't know this. Well, take the time to teach, educate them. You know what I mean? Don't have them just out there thinking that what they being told is okay. Like, we could talk about the problem, but we need to actually fix the problem instead of talking about the problem. So if you know something that can help, then teach it. Don't keep allowing the bad to happen. I think that's where a lot, you see somebody like you chest out. They say it take a village to raise a child, right? So we need to be a village for our entire culture.
100%. But we also need to hear the truth, which is regression is very easy. You can sit down and you'll regress without doing anything. Progress though is super hard. You gotta walk. You gotta move forward. So if you don't move forward, you will not progress. So it's about saying, yo, if you want progress, you gotta go through the hard shit, man. And some of the hard shit, it means that we are gonna be exiled out of doing certain things.
Right.
Certain things are not going to be available to us when we start to rise above.
Right.
They're going to hold everything, like they're going to hold certain things to where we can't get it. But that's okay, because that means that it now gives me the opportunity to build. Now I can go, okay, we don't have it. Tell me this: when has ever in anyone's life someone not been afforded something or had the ability to to access it, and they've not done something about it to get something close to it or to get it itself. We always do that as human beings, right? So if I got a pair of Nikes over there, you know what? Guess what?
Gonna be that.
If I can't buy the Nikes, do I go and try and get something that looks close to it, but that makes me feel good? But it's still, I can still wear it and it still lasts just as long as the Nikes over there? Yes, I do. Am I gonna go barefoot? No, I'm not gonna go barefoot. I'm gonna get me some shoes. It might not be Nikes, but I'm gonna get something. So it's the same thing with these things that are be held against us because of us rising above. It's okay. Now we'll just build, but we'll start slow. And then at some point, guess what's gonna happen? We'll be right there, meeting the match.
But that goes back to where we now, not even a relationship, we just need, that goes back to the protection. We need to just protect us.
Us, exactly, 100%. But that's where the statement, protect me, protect you.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Protect me, protect you at the end of the day. And it's and we gotta be willing to stand against the bad in people.
Right.
The bad in people. So that means you're not against white people. You're against the people who are bad in the white group. That's what you're doing, right? Just like you against the bad people in your own community. You're going, yo, if you're doing wild shit, I'm sorry, man, but you're going to jail, homie. Like you're not coming in my neighborhood doing no crazy shit. No, my kids need to go outside and ride bikes. I'm sorry, brother, but you're going to jail. I don't want you around here. So it's the same thing with a white man who's spewing racism and shit. Get him out of the paint.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So that's the real side. I don't want to go run on with this, but that's the real topic of discussion is until we're willing to have these uncomfortable conversations where it's not just me having these conversations. It's a bunch of us having these conversations, a bunch of us continuing to have these conversations where, Emmanuel, me and you might go, if we went every day for the next 6 months having this conversation here about this and growth and what we need to do as a community, if we're having this every single day for 6 months, I guarantee you it will catch a wave because people will start to pick it up and people will start to talk about how we're talking out of our mouths about a lot of uncomfortable things. And should we start having this discussion? And now all of a sudden, I'm telling you, that's how you start a revolution. That's how people start to say, you know what? It's kind of making sense because anything that repeats in my ear over and over again, the first time I might be like, that don't make no goddamn sense. But if you repeat it, all of a sudden I start to feel like it's goddamn making a little bit of goddamn sense.
Yes, it's true.
Because it becomes familiar. Now I'm like, I see what you're trying to say here.
It's how commercials work, right? It's the same commercial that's imprinting an image into your head. Yeah. So to your point, the progress only comes when there's consistent conversation about this.
Right.
So that enough of the people can see that something's wrong. But this is such a touchy issue that nobody wants to touch it because you have a group of women who are major consumers, they're voters. So who's going to have that conversation, especially when it comes across as if you are offending Black women? And we don't do well by offending Black women because the sisterhood comes after you. I commend Dash's wife for weighing in and saying what she said. She in Black girl circles, she would probably be criticized for her point of view because she's
not really, because still you gonna have a side of women that still feel the same way too, because we gotta play fair.
It's not the majority. She's actually fair in the way she assessed the situation because she's willing to criticize Black women who aren't pulling their weight or who are not doing their part in the relationship.
Well, yeah, she's gonna be with the side because I do see, like, as we are on here, I've seen postings online helping the fact that it supports what we're talking about right now coming from Black women. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as I viewed it, it kind of put me in the mindset of, well, Because there's postings, oh, you're a black king and you're a woman, and then they have some, oh, you're not broke. I'm here, I'm behind you. We're always gonna be good. I've seen postings where black women are still there trying to backbone and not be just as we would be chauvinist. They're not trying to be women that are not seeing things fairly. They are actually seeing things fairly.
I think everybody made some really, really valid points. I do appreciate you all for lending your voice to this conversation. I think everyone gave some really great, insightful points. And I would encourage for us to continue to having these discussions. Obviously, we're going to wrap this particular discussion up as we've been at it for close to 2.5 hours. I thank you all for your input. And to the viewers, I ask that you guys, if you're not already connected to the show, The Intercourse Show, like and subscribe, share the video, and let your voice be heard on this topic and others. And I ask that you guys do your part in reframing our image and reframing what we all can see a problem with. I think we're better together than we are apart. And so it's good for us to have the conversation as long as it's constructive and respectful. And I think that's sort of the spirit that we had as we discussed this particular controversial topic. I don't think Paul Pierce meant any harm when he said what he said. It was just his point of view. And whether people like it or not, the reality is exactly as he said it. A lot of these athletes tend to pair up with women of an opposite race than them. Some of them do. And we need to take inventory and to figure out what's getting lost in translation here. And sometimes it's that the man doesn't necessarily feel like his point of views are being taken into consideration by his partner. And so rather than getting everybody on the same page, they just opt to go in another direction. And in the same point, there are women out there who have valid criticisms of their men because the men is not pulling their weight and they're not doing their part. So we as men can't just dismiss their point of view either. We all have to work together. And I thank everyone. I commend Dash and his wife. Beautiful relationship. They're a great example of what it looks like when we choose to stay together. And there's plenty of others who have great harmonious relationships. So to everybody joining the conversations, I thank you all. And I also ask that you put God first until we speak again.
Oh, right? Can I just say this really quick?
Final words from everybody. That was my final words. Renick, you get it, and then Dash, you close us out.
I just want to say this really quick. It's very simple and very short. Ladies, just like you want your man to praise you daily and tell you how beautiful you are, how sexy you are, smack you on the ass every now and then, give you a hug, kiss you on the cheek, kiss you on the forehead, tell you thank you for all that you do. That's important to you. It makes you feel enriched. It makes you feel like you're a big part of the community that you guys have together, right? Just as much as you want that, a man, he just wants you to shut the F up. Just be willing to shut the F up. That's it. Just shut the F up when you're not necessarily right or when you're right. Pick your battles. That's it. That's all I have to say. That's all a man wants at the end of the day. We're very simple human beings. We just want to be able to know that you know how to just STFU. That's it.
Well, you just said about how we supposed to represent each other. How we and this is your final word? Okay, fine. Dash, you got.
I just look at it like this, man. My final words is this. As a black people, as a whole community of black people, let's just learn not to degrade one another, at least not publicly. Yeah. Let's save all of that for behind closed doors. What stays in this house, what business in this house stays in this house. Let's not project that outdoors. let's not leave that for the public to view, to judge. And let's just be a little bit more conscious on how we treat each other.
That's true.
You know?
Very good point. Very good point. Again, to all my panelists, I thank you guys. I love you guys immensely, and thank you for your input and your voice on this particular subject. For everybody else watching us, we pray that you join the conversation. And until we meet again, I wish y'all peace and blessings and prosperity from God. In Jesus' name, we say this. We out. Peace.
Peace.